Have you ever started a project, full of enthusiasm, only to find yourself quickly bogged down, like in details, communication issues, or even missed deadlines?
We've all been there, definitely.
Yeah, it feels like you're constantly putting out fires instead of building something really great.
Right. And often, the secret to success, it lies way before the first task has even begun.
So today we're taking a deep dive into those foundational stages of project management. Specifically, how to set up, define, and plan a project for success.
We're looking at what it really takes to lay a strong groundwork, drawing insights from, expert guides and practical playbooks.
Our mission, to give you a shortcut to being well-informed, equipped with some surprising facts and actionable strategies.
To make sure your next project isn't just completed, but actually thrives.
Get ready to unpack the wisdom of clear thinking in those crucial preparatory stages. Think of building a house. You don't just start laying bricks, right?
No, not at all.
First, you need an architect, then a blueprint, and then you gather your construction crew. Project management's kind of the same.
Exactly.
We're dissecting those foundational steps: initiation, definition, and planning. But this isn't just a linear checklist, is it?
Not really. What's fascinating here is that clear thinking in the preparatory stages isn't just a nice to have.
Right.
It's the absolute backbone for a successful project. It's about establishing precisely what the project is expected to deliver to end users.
Okay.
And then meticulously figuring out how to achieve that long before any real work begins.
So let's jump into that first phase, initiation. Getting started right seems obvious, but our sources really emphasize that the very first step is agreeing the brief. And this isn't just agreeing on what you'll deliver, but how you'll work together. What does that deeper alignment look like?
Exactly. This essential alignment between you, the project manager, and your sponsor.
Yeah.
Well, it all gets distilled into two crucial documents.
Okay, 2 documents.
First, the project mandate. That's the why. It captures the fundamental business opportunity or maybe the problem the project aims to address.
The core reason.
Yeah. And then there's the project brief. That's more the what and how, outlining the proposed solution, key deliverables, initial approach, that sort of thing.
Got it.
And the initiation phase, it really concludes when the sponsor signs off on that brief and, crucially, allocates the necessary resources to move forward.
Right. Without that.
Without that, you're building on sand. Really.
And getting the right support from that sponsor is absolutely crucial. Our sources talk about top-down versus bottom-up initiation. Most projects are top-down, where a sponsor delegates. But bottom-up projects, originating closer to the customer, apparently they indicate a very healthy corporate culture. Why is that?
Well, it implies a culture where good ideas can bubble up from anywhere, not just dictated from the top.
Makes sense.
This raises an important point. If you're initiating a bottom-up project yourself, you need to be strategic.
Also,
You need to target a suitable sponsor, present a really well-argued case backed by hard evidence of the opportunity size, for instance.
okay.
But it's not just about the numbers. Your personal credibility, your track record of delivering, that's just as vital. You're kind of pitching yourself as much as the project idea.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of solid backing, our sources reveal a pretty telling statistic. 62% of projects have actively engaged executive sponsors. Only 62%. That feels surprisingly low, given how crucial sponsorship seems to be. What does that tell us?
Well, it tells us that while the power of an engaged sponsor is huge, it's definitely not a given.
Right.
This isn't just about resource allocation. Think about the psychological impact a visible, committed executive has on team morale, on external stakeholder confidence.
Yeah, it's true.
Their engagement signals the project's strategic priority. It often unlocks doors that a project manager alone just can't.
So the fact that almost 40% don't have that.
It highlights a persistent blind spot in organizations, doesn't it? Where projects get launched but aren't really championed, project managers often have to actively work to cultivate that engagement, not just assume it'll be there.
Okay, so once you've got that initial buy-in, that clarity on the why in initiation, the real challenge begins. Nailing down what exactly that something is. That brings us squarely into the definition phase. This is where you precisely detail what will be handed over to the end users on completion.
Yes.
And the sources make it clear how this happens by asking the right people the right questions in the right way. Sounds simple.
But it's anything but, usually. The time you invest discussing the project brief with stakeholders, especially the client and end users, is almost never wasted.
Okay.
These focused, well-structured conversations, they don't just deliver useful information, they also build your credibility with the client.
How does that work?
It's about transforming your status. You move from being just a supplier to a true partner who understands their underlying needs, not just, their stated requirements.
And speaking of asking the right questions, one tip is to aim for those great questions that make clients pause and say, that's a great question.
Yeah.
What kind of questions are those, and why are they so powerful?
They're the questions that challenge assumptions, maybe uncover hidden needs, or reveal constraints nobody had thought about.
Could you give an example?
Sure. Instead of just asking, do you need a report? You might ask something like, if you had perfect information right now, what decision would that enable you to make differently?
Okay. That's much deeper.
Exactly. That kind of question doesn't just get you an answer. It makes the client think, wow, they really get what I'm trying to achieve here.
That's when you know you've helped uncover something new. And deepen the relationship. Mm-hmm. And that deeper engagement is clearly valued. Mm. Our sources note that 92% of attendees value meetings where they actually get to contribute.
Absolutely. So involving stakeholders in defining the scope clearly pays off. And beyond just being fit for purpose, the definition phase is also where you can inject some creativity, make a project catch the eye for creativity and elegance.
So not just functional, but something more.
Right. It isn't just about making it pretty. It means exploring multiple options, maybe even a do-nothing approach, to find not just a solution, but the best solution, one that genuinely excites and differentiates.
It's clear how challenging this part can be, though. Get this. Only 44% of organizations are likely to deliver projects that meet their original goal and business intent.
Oof. Yeah, that's a sobering statistic.
Only 44%. What do you think contributes to such a low success rate in hitting those original goals?
It often boils down to a fuzzy definition right at the start. Okay. Projects launch without a truly clear understanding of what success even looks like or how the project directly supports strategic objectives.
So misalignment.
Big time. Which raises an important question. How do you make sure the project truly aligns with the bigger picture?
Right.
The 5 whys technique is surprisingly powerful here.
5 whys. Tell me more.
You just repeatedly ask why, but insist on, in order to, answers to establish link between a project and the organization's strategic goals.
Okay, in order to.
Yeah. And the rule of thumb is, if it doesn't connect within 5 steps, the project may not be worth pursuing.
Wow, that's pretty strict. 5 steps.
It's brutal honesty, but it exposes projects that are maybe just solutions looking for a problem,
Yeah, I could see that. I've definitely seen projects where someone stopped at why once, and you kind of wondered why it felt disconnected. Mm-hmm. Okay, so once all this information is gathered, the questions asked, the whys explored, it funnels into a crucial document. The project information document, or PID.
Yes, the PID. Vital.
What makes the PID so vital?
Well, the PID is basically an expansion of that initial brief. It incorporates all that extra information gathered from stakeholders, all those great questions answered.
Okay.
It's the central repository for everything you've defined so far. Scope, objectives, stakeholders, high-level risks, the lot.
The single source of truth.
Exactly. And once it's signed by the sponsor, it becomes a binding agreement. Its format and content are paramount for committing significant resources because everyone is literally on the same page.
Okay, so defining the scope means understanding what needs to be delivered.
Yeah.
But you can't do that effectively without understanding who is involved.
True.
That brings us to analyzing stakeholders.
Yeah.
Why does this matter so much?
Because every project, no matter how small, has multiple stakeholders. Analysis helps you identify the most important people.
Who are they, usually?
Those with direct involvement in delivering the work, obviously, or maybe those with significant influence in the environment where the work will be deployed.
Okay.
And this analysis lets you strategically decide where to invest your time and resources. It forms the basis of your communication plan, really.
Can't communicate effectively if you don't know who needs to hear what.
Or how they feel about it, yeah.
And the sources detail a simple but effective way to do this. The influence and attitude matrix.
Mm-hmm.
You evaluate stakeholders based on their influence, their ability to make things happen or stop them, and their attitude towards the project. Supportive, neutral, opposed.
Exactly. And when it comes to influencing strategies, here's a key thing. You're unlikely to turn strongly negative stakeholders positive.
Really? Don't even try.
Well, It's
Yeah.
often a battle not worth fighting. Instead, aim to neutralize opposition. Understand their concerns, address them where you can.
Okay. Neutralize, not convert.
Right. And here's another insight. You need the confidence to address challenging stakeholders directly, but also the wisdom to know when involving the sponsor is the better approach to resolve an impasse.
Knowing when to escalate.
Precisely. Knowing when to try building bridges yourself and when to bring in the big guns, so to speak.
Okay. So after defining what you're doing and who is involved, you have to ask the big question. Is this project actually worth it?
The business case.
This is where developing that business case comes in. How do you approach this cost-benefit analysis? What goes into it?
Fundamentally, the business case weighs the potential costs against the likely benefits. Now, when assessing costs, you only include future costs and incremental costs,
Meaning?
costs that wouldn't happen if the project wasn't happening. And think about invisible costs, too,
Invisible cost, like what?
like an internal team member's time. Say a technical specialist spending 20% of their week on your project. That's a real cost, even if it's not out of pocket like materials or, subcontracted services.
Oh, right. The internal resource drain.
Exactly. And often those invisible costs are overlooked, which leads to underestimated project budgets.
And the benefit side.
Yeah.
How do you assess those, especially if they're not immediately like dollars and cents,
Benefits should always align with at least one of the organization's strategic goals.
such as?
Increasing revenue, reducing costs, improving customer satisfaction, things like that. You also need to consider the timing of those benefits. When will they actually materialize? And it's crucial to acknowledge that projected benefits can rarely be guaranteed. A complete analysis has to include assessing what could go wrong and the effect of this on the overall outcome.
Because a perfect outcome is rarely the actual outcome.
Unfortunately, no.
The sources even give us some great do's and don'ts for developing that business case. Can you share a couple?
Sure. Do work with experts for realistic estimates. Do set notional hourly rates for internal team members to capture those invisible costs. And always include contingency funds for the unexpected.
And the don'ts.
Don't base decisions on gut feelings. Don't consider internal team costs free. And don't ignore potential risks to the benefits themselves.
Good advice. And yet a concerning statistic here is that 66% of organizations do not regularly complete a comprehensive cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah, 2/3. It's huge.
What's the practical implication of so many organizations skipping this vital step? What happens?
It means a significant chunk of projects are being approved based on intuition or just incomplete information.
Like building a house without a budget.
Exactly. Skipping this analysis massively increases the risk of wasted resources, pursuing projects that don't truly deliver value, or even worse, projects that achieve their technical goal but actually cost more than the benefit they provide. It's like winning the battle but losing the strategic war.
Okay, sobering thought. So with the project defined, risks acknowledged, it's worth established. Now it's time to talk about the how. And a huge part of that is building your dream team. Beyond just skills and availability, what else should a project manager look for?
You should absolutely consider personality fit and motivation. Serious.
Fit and motivation.
Yeah.
More than just skills.
Yeah. You can have the most skilled person, technically, but if they disrupt team dynamics or just aren't genuinely motivated by this project, they can actually become a liability. Stakeholder analysis, which we just talked about, can actually be a useful tool here for assessing potential candidates and anticipating how they'll interact. It's not just about who can do the work, but who will truly integrate and contribute positively to the team dynamic.
Right. Once you have your team, the kickoff meeting sounds like more than just saying hello.
Oh, much more.
The sources say the project manager should arrange and chair this meeting to enhance your authority.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, it's about setting the tone from the outset. By leading it, you immediately establish yourself as the orchestrator, the leader.
Okay.
And it's about more than introductions. It's establishing clear roles, ground rules, discussing decision-making processes, especially around deadlines, maybe how conflicts will be resolved.
The nuts and bolts of working together.
Exactly. And vitally, if you have remote team members, making sure they feel just as involved is paramount. They need to be heard and seen, not just, logged in.
That's a great point. What's fascinating here is that one of the most important functions of a project manager is apparently to build and maintain the team dynamic. This sounds like more than just task management. It feels like you're building a miniature culture.
It absolutely is. Giving your project a name, creating a team location, whether it's physical or virtual, That helps foster identity, a sense of shared purpose. But most importantly, involving team members in things like work schedules, risk analysis, problem solving, that leads to greater ownership.
Because they help build it.
Precisely. When they contribute to the plan, they're much more committed to its success. And you also want to establish soft success criteria alongside the hard ones.
Soft criteria, like what?
Things like teamwork, morale, learning opportunities, alongside the usual budget and timeline stuff. Those softer elements often determine long-term success and team retention, frankly.
That makes sense. And the sources provide a great checklist for creating a strong team, making sure people know and respect each other, understand roles, agree accountability, acknowledge the PM.
All critical foundational stuff, yeah.
So you've got your team, you're building identity. Now, what about anticipating trouble? Because projects, by their very nature, are risky. Things will go wrong.
They absolutely will. That's why the PM's key role is to identify, plan for, and manage risks, focusing particularly on impacts to time, cost, or quality.
And how do you evaluate these risks?
You look at two main criteria: probability, how likely they are to happen, and impact, how serious it would be if they do happen.
Probability and impact, okay.
And then you set a threshold for when you'll start planning responses, because you can't realistically plan for every single tiny risk.
Right, focus on the big ones. And you record all this in a risk log.
Precisely. This is a crucial document. It details each risk, its impact, probability, and the countermeasures you plan to take.
And it's not static, right?
Definitely not. It's a living document. Should be continuously reviewed, not just created once and filed away. It's a sign of proactive management.
And encouragingly, 64% of project managers usually undertake a risk assessment.
Yeah, that means a significant number do take this seriously, which is good.
Our sources, drawing from established frameworks like PRINCE2, that's widely recognized project management methodology, highlight 5 core strategies for dealing with risk. Can you quickly walk us through those 5 ways?
Sure. First, you can prevent the risk, basically. Do things differently to eliminate it entirely.
Okay.
Second, plan contingency. Have a plan B ready if the risk does occur.
Plan B, got it.
Third, accept the risk. This makes sense when the cost of countermeasures outweighs the potential benefit of avoiding the risk.
Sometimes you just live with it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth, transfer the risk, like buying insurance. You spread the potential impact.
Okay.
And finally, reduce the risk. Take action to lessen either its likelihood or its impact if it does happen. It's a pretty comprehensive toolkit.
And sounds like it, for staying ahead of potential problems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with risks in mind and a team in place, it's finally time to develop the actual project plan, the blueprint. This is the PM's responsibility, but collaboration is key here too, right? You're not just locking yourself away.
Absolutely not. The sources really emphasize that by involving the team in the planning process, you increase their understanding of what has to be done and generally gain an extra level of commitment to deadlines.
It's a win-win.
Definitely. People own what they help create.
And here's a painful statistic related to this. 32% of the reasons for project failure rest in poor estimation during the planning phase.
Wow. Almost a third.
Yeah. So that collaboration is clearly vital to avoid those pitfalls. What does poor estimation typically look like in practice? How does it go wrong?
Well, it often means glossing over dependencies between tasks, seriously underestimating the complexity of something, or just not factoring in typical distractions and real-world interruptions.
The difference between ideal time and actual time.
Exactly. It's the difference between thinking, oh, that's a 2-hour task, and realizing it actually involves waiting for approvals, coordinating with another department, fighting for resources.
Right.
Our sources outline a 10-step team planning technique that often uses virtual whiteboard tools, which helps mitigate this.
10 steps. How does that work, briefly?
Well, the PM does the first 4 steps individually. Restate objective, brainstorm products, brainstorm tasks, and place tasks in order. That creates a sort of skeleton plan.
Okay, a framework.
Then the team joins for the rest, confirming tasks, drawing dependencies, allocating times, agreeing milestones and review points, assessing and resolving risks, and finally allocating tasks.
So the PM provides structure, the team fills in the detail and buys in.
That's the idea. And for remote teams, yeah, those virtual whiteboard tools are incredibly useful for that collaborative brainstorming part.
Makes sense. Now, a really key skill for any project manager, especially maybe in smaller projects, is cracking the code of time estimation.
Oh, absolutely.
Our sources state that keeping to time is often the primary measure of effectiveness.
That's often true, and projects are frequently late simply because activities aren't thought through or recorded properly, which just leads to underestimation.
It's not just the task itself.
No, it's all the small, connected steps it entails, and crucially, what else your team members are juggling at the same time.
And the team involvement we just talked about for planning, that extends to estimation too, I assume.
Yes, definitely. You must involve the team members who are actually performing the critical tasks. Ask for their estimates, given their other commitments.
And just accept whatever they say.
Well, you can challenge those estimates, but always respectfully, without undue pressure. You're aiming for realism, not just telling people what they want to hear or getting the answer you want to hear.
Okay. And for those who love formulas, there's the PEERT formula, project evaluation and review technique. How does this help?
Right, PEERT. This is a widely known time estimation formula. T, 2 plus 14 meter plus TP 6.
Okay, break that down.
T is the most probable duration you're trying to find. 2 is the most optimistic time. T is the most likely time. And T is the most pessimistic time.
So you average them, but weight the most likely.
Exactly. But its effectiveness is often described as psychological.
Psychological.
Yeah, it encourages careful thought about the task by forcing you to consider the best case, worst case, and most probable scenarios. It just adds a layer of rigor to the thinking process.
Gotcha. Another crucial distinction to make in estimation is between timesheet time and calendar time. This sounds like it could be a major pitfall if people misunderstand it.
It absolutely can be. Timesheet time is the actual effort, right? The hours needed for a task, say 16 hours of dedicated work.
Okay.
Calendar time is the total elapsed time, which includes non-working periods, weekends, holidays, maybe time spent on other projects.
So that's 16 hours.
That 16 hours of timesheet time might translate to an entire week of calendar time if it's not the team member's sole focus. Understanding that difference is critical for realistic scheduling and avoiding burnout.
Definitely. And despite all these techniques, the reality is still challenging. Only 34% of organizations mostly or always complete projects on time.
Yeah, only about a third.
That means 2/3 are regularly late. What's the biggest takeaway from that stark reality?
Well, it underscores that even with the best tools and techniques, real-world constraints, unforeseen issues, human factors, they constantly challenge project timelines.
It's not about perfection.
No, it's a reminder that good project management isn't about avoiding problems entirely, but about anticipating and managing them effectively, so that when things inevitably go off track, you have the systems and the clear thinking in place to bring them back.
It also really highlights that chronic underestimation problem we talked about.
Oh, sure.
Okay, finally, we need to talk about representing the plan and choosing your digital toolkit. The plan, as you said, is a lone document. It will evolve. What should listeners consider when choosing software for this?
Well, selecting the right software really depends on your project's size and complexity, and also how your team will be collaborating.
Compatibility matters too, right?
Absolutely. Compatibility with existing documents your team uses and just the basic user experience are crucial factors. You don't want the tool itself to become a burden that gets in the way of actually managing the project.
It should help, not hinder.
Exactly. It should facilitate, not complicate.
So what are the main types of software we're looking at here? From, say, simple to more robust?
Broadly, you've got specialist project management software, things like Liquid Planner or Rike. These are robust, often complex, really good for critical path analysis and managing large, intricate projects.
The heavy hitters.
Yeah. Then there are online collaboration tools, maybe like Asana or Trello. These tend to be simpler, more communication-focused, and incredibly flexible for small to medium-sized projects. They emphasize transparency and collaboration.
More visual, maybe?
Often, yeah. And finally, just regular office software like Microsoft Office 365. That can work for very small, straightforward projects. People know it, it's available.
Well, limited.
But it lacks the advanced PM features, definitely. It's really about matching the tool to the task, not over-engineering your solution.
And before you choose, there's a requirements checklist to consider. Asking yourself things like,
Yeah, like what aspects you'll need to analyze, how often the plan will need updating, who actually needs access to it, and what kind of representation will be most easily understood by the team.
all those questions help make sure you pick the right fit for your project.
Exactly.
So we've really journeyed from that initial spark of an idea through the critical phases of defining what needs to be done and then meticulously planning how to do it.
And the takeaway really is that the success of any project isn't just about flawless execution down the line. It's profoundly shaped by the clarity, the foresight, the collaborative effort you invest in these preparatory stages.
Right from the start.
From aligning with your sponsor, understanding every stakeholder, meticulously defining scope, building that strong team, managing risks, and accurately estimating time. Ignoring these early steps is like, well, skipping the foundation of that house you're trying to build. It just won't stand strong.
That's a great analogy. So as you, our listener, think about your next project, maybe ask yourself, what invisible cost might you have overlooked in the past?
Or what soft success criterion beyond just time and budget could truly define its ultimate impact this time and maybe foster greater ownership within your team?
Take these insights, apply that clear thinking we talked about,
and make your next project not just a success, but a true deep dive into excellence.